Indianapolis scores a hat trick.
The road to WrestleMania begins at the Rumble.
The WWE throwing its three biggest eggs into one city for the first time ever. How Indianapolis landed Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. Hello and welcome to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Indianapolis, the gold standard when it comes to hosting events, prepping the ring and arena to showcase one of the biggest in the world, the WWE's Royal Rumble. It's one of WWE's three marquee events Indy will host over the next 8 years, which together are expected to generate at least $350 million to the local economy. This week, we speak with two key players who played major roles in bringing the WWE to Indy. And I'm really pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Chris Legentil. Chris is the Executive Vice President for Talent Relations and Communications for WWE. And Chris, I know everybody, lots of people here are very excited about WWE's arrival in Indiana. Thanks for joining us.
Jerry, it's great to be here, but it'll be even better when we're there in town next week.
Absolutely. All right. Give us the lowdown on how this deal came together, because it sounds like, I don't know, it came together as deals go, maybe fairly quickly. Were you in town like over the summer? In the summer, is that when this thing kind of started to percolate last year?
It actually, it got hot and heavy, I would say, around that time, but we've been talking about it for a little while. As you know, Patrick Talty, Indiana Sports Corp, terrific leadership over there. Patrick and I had been speaking about this for quite some time and trying to figure out what could make the most sense. Now, just if you give me a moment to back up a little bit, the president of WWE, my boss, is a man by the name of Nick Khan. Now, Nick, he went to the national championship title game several years back at Lucas Oil. I believe he had a meeting with ESPN's chairman, Jimmy Pitaro, and he came back and he said to me, have you ever been to a sporting event in Indianapolis? Because they do it so well. Everything was so well appointed, convenient, the bells and whistles were all there. He said it felt like there was a big event happening. It was obvious anywhere you walked in the city. And then from there, the conversation evolved into, why don't we start having some conversations with the good folks in Indiana to see what there is? And then, as I mentioned, Patrick Talty, he is just the most tremendous ambassador for the state of Indiana. And he is also the kind of guy who knows how to get a deal done. And so what he wanted to do was something ambitious, right? He said, yeah, of course, we could do a one-off. We could bring in something where, we make a lot of economic impact for the week and we excite a lot of the folks in town and bring people to town. But is there something more we can do? And that got us excited because we always like to do something that's first of its kind. And that's when we started talking, could we do multi-year? Could we do multi-event? Could this be the first time WWE ever commits to bringing WrestleMania, which is obviously our Super Bowl, and SummerSlam and Royal Rumble, not to mention a breadth of other programming such as Raw, SmackDown, NXT throughout the state of Indiana? And then, as you mentioned, over the last summer was when we really started to pick up the pace and got the deal done.
What is it about Indianapolis? You mentioned it's a big event city. It's hosted everything from a Super Bowl to obviously every year the Indianapolis 500 and so many other events. But what is it that really attracted WWE? Because you have a lot of cities vying for, to get your events. What is it about Indy that makes it special?
It's not just one thing. And you guys are very humble, but I'm sure you know a lot of this. It's the people. I think the people there are both locally and globally minded at the same time. I'm always amazed every time I talk to Patrick. He's a guy who knows all the micro about the city and the state, but he's always thinking bigger picture about where events are going throughout the country, throughout the world. Don't forget, he's somebody who's worked across the nation, used to have business overseas. He was stationed there for a long time. So I think that people having that simultaneous local global mindset is very important. And then when you couple that with world-class venues, world-class hotels, the convenience of the city, the fact that it's compact, it's walkable, it's easy for a visitor to come in and have a great time. It's easy to get there from so many places. All that adds up to a wonderful place to host major events. And as you mentioned, it's not just WWE. A lot of sporting entities, pretty much all of them, right? NFL, NBA, you go down the line, are going to Indianapolis for big events because they know that there's going to be an excellent time had for the fans, but also there's great business to do in town.
Give our listeners an idea of the power of the WWE brand, one of the most recognizable brands out there. But talk about the business model, the global nature of it, the media presence, and all that, kind of in a snapshot, if you could.
Let's look at the most recent news, which is that we've moved to Netflix
Right.
for Monday Night Raw. And, we're taping this on a Wednesday. Netflix just reported their earnings yesterday. You saw that they just gained 19 million subscribers in the quarter. 19 million. That is more subscribers than they gained in the first quarter of COVID, when nobody had anything to do but sit at home and watch the television.
Yeah.
Now, that puts their global total over 300 million subscribers. Now, that's not viewers, that's subscribers. So if I have a subscription and my wife watches it, and so do my two sons, that's 4 people watching one subscription. So you do the multipliers. There are hundreds and hundreds of millions of people watching Netflix. So our flagship show, Monday Night Raw, just moved over on January 6th to Netflix, coming off of a 30-plus year run on cable and other linear television stations. And that, you mentioned the global nature of it, is also exciting to us because outside of the US, not just Monday Night Raw goes to Netflix, all WWE content. So that's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all of our premium live events, like we mentioned, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. So when we are at Lucas Oil on February 1st, that event is going to be seen here in the United States on Peacock, NBCU's streaming service, and then globally, every other country, mostly every other country in the world, will be getting that on Netflix, which is a tremendous opportunity to shine a light on the great city of Indianapolis and what WWE is trying to do with that global lens.
Chris, as you look at that, I'm going to talk to Patrick Talty about this. Huge economic impact, certainly, but that visibility, it's hard to overstate the importance of the Indianapolis brand, if you will, and more broadly, Indiana getting out on a global stage.
Yeah, again, this is something where, Nick, Triple H, obviously our chief content officer who used to work with Patrick back in the day, and I were talking with Patrick about how this is such a powerful platform to provide to the city, Netflix, the global nature, the social media reach of WWE, that it was exciting to all of us. And whereas a lot of these conversations about bringing events to cities really do center on economic impact, it was Patrick who said, it's not just the economic impact, right? There is this huge media and marketing might that WWE can bring to town and spotlight what's going on in a local city. And, as you well know, when WWE comes to town, it's not just about the big Saturday night event. There's a variety of activities where we're there for the better part of a week for, say, a Royal Rumble, and we're activating in the community, in the convention center, at Gamebridge, as well as Lucas Oil. And that's something we're really excited about, that it's not just one thing, but really a variety of programming and lots of touch points for the fans who are living locally or coming to town.
And those folks coming in, I think the in arena, if you will, attendance is going to be 60,000, but there'll be more than that coming in. And these are people, I think, 60 to 70% coming in from outside of Indianapolis, and some from around the globe. So this is truly a pretty diverse crowd that will be in Indianapolis for these marquee events.
Yeah, that's one of the things we love, and one of the stats that we're always discussing with some of our potential partners. That 60, 70, 75% of people coming outside of the greater metro area into town is something that we always want to make sure stays strong, because we want to make sure that the hotels are full, the restaurants are full, You have a wonderful children's museum. I recommend anybody who comes to town to check that out. If you're there with kids, I know I brought both of my sons there on separate occasions, and they both loved it. In fact, you and I saw each other. We were at a Colts Steelers game. I was there with my youngest son. He's 7. We, because of some of the good folks in town, had very nice seats. And my son said to me about halfway through the game, he's like, "Dad, this is great, but can we go back to the Children's Museum?" So to anybody who hasn't been there, it's really a sight to see for children. There's a lot to do in Indianapolis, a lot of great food to eat. And, we want that 60, 70, 75% of people coming in from out of town to experience all of it.
Again, kind of underscore the fact 3 marquee events in Indianapolis, but you're going to be having events that truly is statewide impact because you're going to be taking your events and your platform to other parts of the state as well.
Yeah, that's something that we find to be a little bit unique about WWE, right? It's not just about the big stadium events, right? We fill the calendar with ballroom events, theater size events, arena events. For example, Raw and SmackDown happen each week in basketball and hockey arenas throughout the country. But then we have NXT in different size venues. We do one-man shows and comedy specials with certain talent that we bring to town. All of that is in different sizes of venues because we believe that we want to find the right place to host the right type of event. And that's why we're not just going to be in Indianapolis. We'll be in Fort Wayne. We're looking at other spots throughout the state so we can bring those different types of events to the towns, big and small.
As you look at dates, I don't think they've been set yet for WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Any idea when you might settle in on dates for those?
Yep, we're zeroing in on those. SummerSlam will be the next one to take place of the big stadium events, and then it'll all culminate with WrestleMania, of course. But stay tuned for further details. We're working on it right now.
All right, Chris, anything else that folks need to know before heading downtown to take in this mega event?
As I mentioned before, not just a Saturday night event. We'd love to encourage everybody to see what we have going on from a variety of these touch points. We'll be doing our experiential fan superstore at the convention center. That's Thursday to Sunday. So please, we're welcome to join us there. We also work with On Location on a variety of our premium experiences. So if spending time with our superstars or legends is something you'd be interested in, that's something that we have available for people as well. And one thing that's a little bit of fun, some free entertainment for folks, what we've been doing for some of our ticket holders is doing a kickoff show to really get things excited as the weekend begins. So we are also, as you know, doing SmackDown the night before Royal Rumble at Gamebridge. Before SmackDown starts, call it 5 o'clock local, at Gamebridge in that nice atrium. You guys have the big glass atrium. For those who have tickets to the event, they can come join us for this big kickoff where you'll hear from the biggest names who will be at Royal Rumble the following night. So if you have a ticket to SmackDown, please come early, come join us. It's a very vibrant environment, and we love when we have all our fans come out and join us.
Chris Legentil is the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations and Communications for WWE. Chris, thanks for taking the time to join us. I know lots of folks are really anxious to see you all arrive in town, and certainly the impact both economically and from a visibility standpoint are going to be off the charts. We're looking forward to it. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much. We look forward to having you guys all at the Royal Rumble. And I would say, don't forget that this is John Cena's last Royal Rumble. So if you have seen him before and you want to see him again, this is the last time he's coming to town. The Royal Rumble card is going to be stacked in terms of the participants in that specific match, from John Cena to Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. They're all going to be in the Rumble. And as you know, the winner gets to face the champion at WrestleMania. So there are high stakes involved.
Indianapolis once again on center stage, or ring in this case. When we come back, the backstory on how Indy landed the WWE's 3 marquee events.
At PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of your community. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at pnc.com. Copyright 2022, the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
You want a WrestleMania moment? You gotta win this match.
The road to WrestleMania begins in Indianapolis at the WWE's Royal Rumble, and there's an interesting link between the WWE and my next guest on how Indy landed professional wrestling's big three events. Patrick Talty is the president of the Indiana Sports Corporation. And Patrick, thanks for joining me. You obviously are very connected to the WWE coming in to Indianapolis and Indiana, but you have a special kind of connection there because at one time you worked for WWE, right?
I did. First, thanks for having me. I'm really excited. And yeah, I did. I worked for them for 3 years. I was responsible for their live events division, which figures out where they would tour and then negotiated all the contracts and market those shows. So got a good understanding of the brand and the power of the brand and the power of the WWE universe.
What is that power? Because it is power. It is powerful. No question about it. A global brand without question. What is it that makes WWE special?
I think it's all about storytelling. They are able to tell stories that resonate with people, and it doesn't matter of what age, what social economics they are, where they're from in the country, where they are in the world. Those stories resonate, and people want to be a part of that, and they want to experience it. They want to just have a great time with WWE, and they're able to do things so creatively and uniquely that it allows it to be fun and allows people to have a great time with the brand. And it's the chants and the sign making and hearing from their favorite wrestlers talk about themselves, talk about their the opponents, and it boils down to good versus evil, and that's a story that's been around for ever, and they have just capitalized on that and made it for all of us to understand and love and want to engage with.
What was it like to work there? Had to be. I would think that was a sports job certainly, but a different kind of job, I would think.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a great company. I loved every minute of it. Such a creative organization. Nothing was off the table. I mean, any idea we would consider, we would think about, and we did some amazing things. And what was great was seeing the fans, the universe, interact with the wrestlers and just love them and love the shows. And that was great to be on the road to see that, to interact with the superstars and to see how they are top athletes. They are amazing athletes who have done amazing things throughout their career, and they go out there and perform every single night and do it at a high level and engage the crowd and never it just is amazing to me how they are able to do that. And they would just say, hey, what can I do next? What can I do more? What can I help with? And they were just it was so refreshing and so fun. It was a great time. I was on the road a ton, and you worked a bunch, and it took because there was no time off. It was 365 days a year, 52 weeks of continuous programming, no reruns. So it was nonstop.
What is Indianapolis and Indiana? Because I know there's going to be a statewide presence from WWE as well. But what are we getting here? And how substantial is it? They're getting these marquee events, not just one, but multiple events.
Yeah, these three marquee events, they're really tentpole events. They've never really bundled these together in one deal, and that's what we were able to get. And what you get is $350 million of economic impact. But when you break that down, there are going to be 60,000 plus people coming into downtown Indianapolis the weekend in February 1st. 60 to 70% of those are going to be traveling in from outside of the market. There are going to be people who are here internationally. There are families. There are people that are spending their vacations doing this. And they're going to spend money. They're going to go to the Children's Museum. They're going to experience other things around Indy. And then we have, as usual, Indianapolis raises the bar, and we have we've commissioned two artists to create unique artwork for this event. The airport's going to be decked out. We're going to have, welcome signage around the city. We have a top rope tailgate that's going to happen at the hangar that people can come in and see rap battles happening and make your own signs and play video games for wrestling and be excited about it, and then watch the event if you don't have a ticket. That's when we break it down, it's going to touch a lot of people, and three local community non-for-profits are going to be what they're calling community champions, and they're going to be honored Friday before the Royal Rumble, and they're going to receive a grant from the WWE. And so that's that lasting impact. And that's what this partnership is doing, is it's leaving an impact and it's providing economic impact to the state. I think it's a win-win.
Patrick, give us a kind of an inside look at how this deal came together. How did it happen? And did they talk about all three marquee events at once, or did that evolve? How did the deal come together?
Yeah, it was that really evolved. We originally were talking about Royal Rumble and bidding on Royal Rumble with them, and we had been to we went out and saw it in San Antonio. Contingent of Indianapolis folks went out there and saw it, and then we went to Tampa the following year. And as we were going through this and realized the power of this, and I had known that the power of these brands and these events. As we started talking to their president, Nick Khan, who's very revolutionary and has really driven the WWE into a new stratosphere of valuation and what they're doing and thought about these events a different way. Him and I started talking, and we realized there was an opportunity to bundle these events together because there's value for us not to have to bid on these each year. We go out and write these bids and spend that time. But if we could bundle it together and really put a package out and plan our years out for the next 8-9 years, there's a lot of value there. And we would know what we're getting, and we could know the impact that it would have. So it's not just a one and done. We could then talk about stories, and we could talk about impact we could do over an 8-year period and really continue to have that brand presence. And so, as we started talking about Royal Rumble, we realized, hey, why not bundle them all together and let's talk about a bigger deal. And these events are bid by other cities throughout, each and every year, and they're all chasing these events and all want them. And so we were extremely happy that we were able to be competitive and lock them up, in this process.
And to that point, the competitive nature of this, in addition to the big economic impact, there's visibility and awareness on a global stage because of WWE's brand, their media package, and all those types of things.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people don't realize is when Royal Rumble was announced, it blew our social media numbers out of the water when people saw that we was coming to Indy. But then when we announced the ticket sales, every week leading up to the actual on sale, they were advertising the tickets. And they talked about Indianapolis on their broadcast worldwide, Indianapolis. And then, the whole thing, now all the wrestlers in the storyline are talking about, I'm going to meet you in Indianapolis. I'm going to beat you in Indianapolis. And so you're hearing that again and again in the show. That's stuff that you can't buy. You can't get that any other way. And they're really good about making sure that the market is at front and center when they talk about those shows.
Patrick, this event will be part of a huge year, another big year for the Indiana Sports Corporation, for Indianapolis, Central Indiana, in terms of events. 2024, I think, was a record year with the NBA All-Star Game, swim trials, a number of big events. But you and I have talked here over the last couple of months, 2025 shaping up to be even bigger.
Yeah, we have more events, sheer number of events in 25 than we did in 24, which is staggering to think. But, with the WNBA All-Star Game coming in July, we have, this Royal Rumble starting in February, basketball in March. Almost the entire month of March is college basketball. And while that's happening, we have Division II wrestling out at the fairgrounds. We have Division II indoor track and field at the fairgrounds, and we have Division II swimming and diving happening at the natatorium. And then, of course, we'll close the year off with Indy Classic and the Big Ten Football Championship coming back again. But, and then we also have the Division I women's water polo championships in May at the natatorium. It's just amazing the events that we have, and we've just been so fortunate and so lucky. But yeah, this will be a busy year. It's amazing. And of course, not not to mention, we are planning for the 26 men's Final Four right now. That has already started. The LOC is knee deep in work. We have a good contingent going to the San Antonio Final Four this year, where they will learn, they'll take pictures, they'll take notes, and we'll come back ready to go. And that's we are already knee deep in that. So all these events happening, and then we're planning for 26.
Hey, Patrick, you mentioned the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Indianapolis, obviously blessed with world-class venues from Lucas Oil to Gainbridge Fieldhouse and others. But I know in doing a story on the big, what was the Swine Barn, now the Fall Creek Pavilion at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, massive project. I think it was a $50 million deal. And I remember at the time talking to Cindy Hoy, who leads the state fairgrounds, that they were going to go after sporting events, and they're in fact doing that.
Yeah, no, we've that asset that they built was absolutely it's incredible, and it's a world-class indoor track. People would never guess that we have a world class track and field venue in what used to be the Swine Barn, now the Fall Creek Pavilion. But USA Track and Field is using it. We have other events that are happening out there, and it's a great venue. People have loved it. The track is fast, and we are just glad that we're able to put some events in there, and we're going to continue. That's not the only one that we have coming. It's not the only thing we're working on. I think there'll be future announcements around that venue and specifically for other sporting events.
Before I let you go, Patrick, got to ask you about what's next. You and I have talked about the NFL draft and maybe making a bid on a future NFL draft. The college football national championship game just ended. What can we expect maybe next for Indianapolis to approach or to go after?
Well, I think all those that you just talked about. I mean, obviously, college football championship, where is something that I think Indy did a great job hosting, and something that we should get back in the future. The draft we're always looking at. I think there's other things out there too that we start looking at other events in the WWE vein that we great economic impact. I mean, you start looking at some of the things that are in other cities. PBR World Finals, monster trucks, UFC. I mean, all those type of things are things that I think Indy has an opportunity to go after. Not to mention the fact that we're looking at Women's Rugby World Cup matches coming in 2033, and we're working on Olympic trials. That don't say that we won't host that again. Working with swimming and gymnastics, you always want to stay in the mix of that, and looking at diving too. What's to say that we don't put on more than one trials going into the 28 Olympics.
Patrick Talty, the president of the Indiana Sports Corporation, thank you as always for joining us on the podcast. So much going on in Indianapolis and central Indiana and around the state, to be sure. And thanks for taking time as we take a special look at the WWE and its impact here in Indianapolis. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for joining us on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. It's a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. We also take a look at breaking news and things happening in our community as well. And you can catch all of our episodes, all 200 plus episodes of the Business and Beyond podcast, and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.